Good morning. Welcome everyone to Admiral Markets webinar. Today's focus is going to be, as always, on technical analysis, looking at Forex market, commodities, stock indices. If you're interested in following us on Twitter, here you have at Admiral Markets and at Chris Forsick. So hope to see you there as well. First of all, though, be aware that this webinar is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity for more details on that. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right, thank you so much for your attention on that. Let's get started right away. First of all, when looking at the market, I analyze the markets by looking at trend and momentum, by looking at patterns, chart patterns, Fibonacci patterns, candlestick patterns, and I take a look at support and resistance levels to understand the market structure. If I like the particular instrument, then I would try to dive into more details and see where are the decision zones, where would I like to trade it, and how, what type of trigger, what am I waiting for price to do. So once I have this plan ready, then obviously the next step is to trade that plan, and then I manage the trade using basically a style that gives space to the trade at start, then tightens it up after a while, then gives space again for the target to be hit, and then tightens it again. So that's it's on purpose kind of varying depending on how the status of the trade. That's something that I explained in previous webinars, so we can talk about that maybe when we have time today as well. Before we take a look, as always, please be aware that this is the wrong link. Let me go to the correct one, which is you have to go to analytics. You can visit admiralmarkets.com, go to analytics, click on Forex calendar, and you'll see the whole list of events that are expected to be today. And that will give us some insight if there are some news events to be aware of today and this week. All right, so Nanette and I also sometimes write about the fundamental analysis. You can see that here, that discusses some of those events that we expect this week. You see that there was some GDP growth, Germany in red numbers here, so showing a bit of slower growth than expected. And just check that out here, some other other inflation rates expected on the pound. That's going to be interesting. Inflation rate is a good one to keep an eye on because, of course, if there's high inflation, there could be a chance of interest rate increase in the future, which makes the particular currency more valuable, which means that in the long run price will probably go up relative to those that don't have inflation and don't increase their interest rate. All right, so with that said, let's take a look at the charts finally and see what's going on. All right, good morning, Essam. Hope everyone had a great weekend, first of all, and that you nicely had time to relax. Yesterday, we saw the dollar strengthen a bit still, and I think that strength is probably going to see some retracements. That's my first estimate for now. We're looking at the gold chart actually as we speak. The reason why I want to start with gold is the fact that it's back at the 50 fib. Now, this bounce seems to me, the 38.2 bounce seems like it would actually break this trend line, but it didn't. And we had a bounce at the trend line. You saw a pretty strong surge up during the U.S. elections, followed by a strong move down. So the upside I thought would break it. But I was waiting for some bull flag pattern before breaking it. We didn't get it. We had a close in reverse and strong momentum to the downside instead. Sorry if there's some background sound. I'm not sure if you're able to hear it. If you do, sorry for that, but it's one of my neighbors and they're repairing something and they're drilling, so apologies for that. Yeah, so anyhow, we had the strong momentum here. You can see it better probably on the hourly chart like this. There you go. And basically strung up, strung down. Now at this moment, I'm expecting a bounce. Price has, I think, finished the 5-wave, or in any case has finished an impulse, I believe. I think there's a good chance of a bounce at the 50 fib, and that there could be at least, well, either a total turnaround if this is on gold, if this is finishing a 5-wave up here, and this is a correction. The correction could stop at the 50 fib, it could stop at the 61.82 or even deeper. But the 50 is a decent candidate. So I'm not once again, I'm not 100% sure the 50 will be the bouncing spot. You never know that with fibs. But 50 is already deep enough that it could be. There's a decent chance, maybe, and this is just a pure guesstimate, so don't take it, too seriously. But this is just a feeling I attached to it. So, but there's, I think, a 1 out of 3 chance that the 50 fib is the bouncing spot, and a 2 out of 3 chance it might go deeper, roughly. So there's a decent chance that this could be the bouncing spot. Whenever I talk about the bouncing spot, I mean that this could be a 5-wave. If this is an ABC, then there could be another 5-wave up to the 272 target, up to the minus 61.8 target. That's a decent rally, and that could finish a bigger A, B, C, or it's a 1, 2, 3. If it is a 3, then there could be even further extension onwards, and in that case, we'd probably have to zoom to the monthly chart to get a better view. If this is a 1, 2, then the 3 could extend way further and challenge this top. Now, I don't know about that. I'm just speculating. If it is a 3, right, then it could make those extensions that high indeed. If you look at the entire gold chart here, price hit the 50 fib of that entire upside from 1999 to, what was it, 2011, I believe it made a peak here. Yes. So it was back, bounced at the 50 fib. It broke this resistance, so it could be a hook back and a more upside. Now, if it's an ABC, then I expect the minus 272 target, the minus 61.8 target to be resistance. And who knows? Just from a technical point of view, it could make a move down like that. There could be a triangle eventually like this. Also, very, very possible. All right, so regarding the target, conservative targets, 1460, 1500, 1575. Aggressive targets above that. Anyhow, back to more reality-based here on a 4-hour chart, and when does it bounce? So a more aggressive fib trader would be probably looking right at the 50 fib, right? Maybe a long-term trader could be looking for that level. Now that level has been already touched and has bounced. There's some reaction to it. There's a 4-hour pin bar here. And after that, there have been 3 candles. So far, I think there's a decent chance of a bounce, but here on the hourly chart, it looks kind of flattish and sidewayish. There's not a lot of momentum in this upside so far. So, but cautious of that. I think maybe using a 5 to 6 candle rule could be good. I don't see a strong confirmation as yet. This is a pin bar indeed, but otherwise it's gone flat. It might be good if the fourth here, the next 2 candles, 4 and 5, don't break this bottom, and the 5th is bullish. I think then there's a good chance that this is a bouncing spot. If price makes a dash down here and doesn't break this bottom, there could be an inverted head and shoulders. So it could be interesting to keep an eye on the hourly chart and see if it respects 12.12, 12.15. If there is a bounce in here, if price makes an engulfing twin on the hourly chart here, for instance, that could be another way of trying to catch a bounce to the upside, an early bounce. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on myself. As it could be, from a long-term perspective, it could be an interesting area. Now, if price, puts a hourly candle that's like this, right? Strong candle, big candle, breaks the low, then in that case, I'm, out of this long. I'm not looking for longs obviously anymore, and I think that there could be, depending on how the candle looks like, but then there is this space to the downside. So would I trade it right away? No, but in that case, I would probably look for some 5-minute retracement like this, and then there could be a short down to the 61.8 fib. Now, myself, I'm saying that there's this space here. That's all. I don't think I would be necessarily keeping my eyes glued on the chart for this particular trade. Myself, I would be more interested if it fails and bounce because of the long-term potential. All right, that's gold. Let's take a look at the euro dollar here. And last week, bearish engulfing twins. So that's a strong candlestick pattern. It's it was election day that caused this up and down, and we've seen down days after that. So looking bearish on the euro dollar, I do think there's a good chance now that this triangle is finished. Really, the confirmation of a triangle finished is when it breaks through this bottom. But doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that there is no good short potential before that bottom is broken. But that's really when the triangle is out of the window. It's completed, and I think that price could fall down to 102.50 and parity once it breaks 105, 104.50. So that looks as interesting because the downtrend could start. Let's take a look at that downtrend yet again here. We've been talking about this for 2 years. This massive momentum was a great push. After that, we've had about almost 2 years now. Wow, is it 2 years? I can't believe that. Is it really 2 years ago? No. It's not that far off, actually. Well, time flies. Amazing. It is actually 1 year and 8 months. But it's not too far from those 2 years. And you can see this formation is probably going to break. We already had a break of this trend line. But I was waiting for one more push up, and it seems like, that's it. It's a bit short, the wave E. That's the D. Sorry, I'll do it again. A, B, quickly, C, D, and the E is very, very short. So kind of looks weird in a way. But E's can be different. I mean, E's are not as reliable as the others, I think. Also, if you look at the fib ratio, it did go up. Last week someone said, is there any particular level that I really think that has a strong likelihood of a turn? I said 50 to 61.8 fib. Now, the nasty thing about it was that it happened during the U.S. election, so I was not trading this particular fib at that time, which is a pity. But that area, the technical area, did hold, and we're in a downtrend at the moment. So that's that. Let's move on. So I think there's a bouncing spot at the moment on the euro dollar. We've had a sizable downside here of 580 pips. I think there's divergence on the hourly chart here. You see that clearly between these bottoms. Now, a single divergence on the hourly chart is not necessarily everything. It not necessarily means that the downtrend has to be over. But I think, from this perspective, I think this is the final wave within this first push down. So I think that this is a wave 1, and I think we're going for a wave 2, and then we'll start a bigger downside. And the turn here, I think, could be very interesting, the most interesting of all. If it turns somewhere in these fibs, I think that could be a very big potential there. Because if this is the turn from wave 2 to wave 3, that wave 3 could be huge, right? So, wave 3 tend to be the largest, tend to be the fastest. So if that's the case, it could be a strong push. This first push was 560 pips. Wave 3 is typically cannot be the shortest, so it means that it has to be at least 560, and obviously it tends to be more. So if that's the case, and it turns at the 61.8 fib at 110.75, and then you can see that parity it would not be a strange thing. So I think that has a lot of potential. In the meantime, though, I think there's a good chance that price will make that wave 2. But the question is what to wait for and what to look for because this is obviously counter trend still. Yes, there is divergence, but momentum has been down. So upside is counter trend. At the moment, we already saw a 1-hour candle bullish here, indicating a first indication that we might get that bigger upside. 4-hour chart, we see this is the 4th candle. So soon we'll have 5 candles. If the next 4-hour candle is bullish in the New York session, we have confirmation that this swing high, swing low is over. But in the meantime, the price could be already at the 23.6 fib. So what could happen is something like this, perhaps. Here, 5 to 6 candles would be confirmed. The swing high, swing low would be over. That's the moment where I actually still might make a dip before the upside to those higher fibs is made. On a intraday perspective, well, from an intraday perspective, it looks bullish to me. We're seeing momentum up, correction, momentum up, correction. So to me, this looks ready for continuation higher. Now that's counter trend because the 4-hour, the daily is bearish. If you look at various time frames, if you look at weekly, daily, 4-hour, that's all bearish. So there's a bit of a mixture. Lower time frames look bullish, higher time frames look bearish. But at this point in time, I think that considering the divergence and the structure, I think that the intraday will play out. I'm just looking at the charts. What could be the best way of tackling it? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised maybe to see a bit of retracement here. We see indecision at the moment. Well, certainly I wouldn't expect price to break below 107.50. All right, so if it makes the retracement, I'm not expecting price to break these bottoms. If it does, I would definitely be cautious. So any bounce would have to happen above 107.50, like that. If it does break, and I think it will make a retracement first, and then challenge the support, and then we'll have to see how it responds if it bounces or breaks. But if it does break here, in that case, I would probably keep an eye on these hourly charts. If it's a bullish candle still on the hourly, then what will probably happen is something like this. And maybe, I'm just thinking here, maybe a hook back to that 107.80. This is the same zone it basically stopped here. Something like that. Stop loss maybe below this candle low, maybe even here, but that will be tight. We're very close to this Keltner, so it will be interesting to see if this hourly holds. That's why I want to see a good hourly close here that pushes through the Keltner. In that case, there's a good chance of a breakout. If the hourly doesn't close strongly and you have something like this with a wick, that does not look good. It might get a retracement first before we get upside. If there's a wick. So it's a bit fragile spot, I think. I mean, it's just have to be careful with. I think that there's a good chance of this correction up to the 23.6 fib, but it is counter trend. It is at the Keltner, so we have to, I think, look at candlesticks and see if you know the confirmation is visible. I would not be bearish unless really price breaks through these bottoms. Let's see. If it breaks through those bottoms, and probably would need to see price break through it and make a bear flag, and then see it follow through to 106.50, 106.75, 106.70, something like that. All right, let's take a look at the pound. The pound, I think, also could make a bigger ABC zigzag, but that yeah, it's I think there's a good chance. We have, it looks like 5 waves to me. Looks like an ABC zigzag. So this could be a bigger correction like this. So I'm personally expecting here a reversal as well. We have levels like this here indicating a pattern. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. Yeah, so I think this bounce is still probably a good chance as long as this bottom doesn't get broken. That would throw in the break through the window, I think, of that reversal idea. It is below the pivot point, so definitely counter trend from that perspective. It has 125 in front of it, so probably the best would be if price breaks to 125.25 and makes a bull flag and then continues like that. But here in itself is a spot that, yeah, it's counter trend, so it's risky, but there's a low risk kind of small stop loss here potential with the pound compared to pretty sizable target if aiming at 125.25 or 125.50 or even up to 126. 126 is basically 125.75 is the R1, so that's about 100 pips. That's aiming at the minus 61.8 target. And that would be basically the zigzag. One, two, three, four, five, six. This looks like a hook back already, indeed. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So let's see. It looks like a potential bouncing spot right now. Otherwise, yeah, the other opportunity could be, I think, if it breaks above 125 and let's see, above 125 and then hooks back to 125 probably. Let me quickly check something here. Okay, so dollar yen, and I got some questions. Do you watch the euro index when you trade euro pairs? No. It does make sense though to I think look at indexes. I have nothing against them, but not the euro index. I do occasionally look at the dollar index. Let's see if we can add it quickly here. Here's your index. And it's been correcting, as you can see. Pretty strong weekly candle. 1, 2, 3, fifth candle, bearish. So that looks pretty strong for bearishness there. But definitely worth looking at. I think it's always good. I think it's just always good to look at the broader market anyhow and see which pairs are stronger, which currencies could be relatively weaker, and match those two together. Because that's the benefit, of course, trying to, I mean, basically any major is tradable. But if you do some home investigation and you see that one seems to be relatively weak of the rest of the pack and the other seems to be relatively strong, then matching those two does make a lot of sense. Other question, I want to ask you about oil. Okay, we can take a look at that. The indicator, it's, let's see, it is MA in color, applied price, but I can send it to you, it's no problem. Anyone who wants that indicator, you can just send me an email and I'll send it to you, no problem. Oh. All right, there we go. And for those that are looking at the recording, let me just send you that too. All right, there we go. One more question, and we'll move on to take a look at this dollar yen and then oil. Do you look at risk on, risk off environment and warnings? How do you do it personally? Well, I just basically just scan the market in general. Just look at all the currency pairs, try to assess different time frames, and try to see, look at the ACU dashboard, try to get a sense which one is relatively strong, which one is relatively weak. So, it's just comparing a lot of charts, and I do just analysis. I flip through them and then look at the dashboard, see where there is some confluence and which sentiment is prevailing. So it's not something that no magic trick or something like that, or it's just looking at dashboard that I have different time frames, different pairs. That's it. Let's see. Could you please have a look at New Zealand? Definitely. So we'll take a look at dollar yen first of all. And what we're looking at basically is, I think, still a potential push here. I was a bit skeptical with this last push here, but it still could be part of a bigger correction. All right, it seems to be making kind of a bull flag at the moment on the dollar yen. And the flag could be over. This momentum, I think, is still prevailing because 5 to 6 candles have not failed to break this high. And so this is still one push all the way from here. And it could still push one more time. Maybe not much, but still a bit. So now I was a bit skeptical with here this formation regarding these two candles. So probably what I would like to see is a bullish hourly candle first. Myself. If I see the candle, a bullish candle, hourly candle, means price is probably somewhere here. If I then see a bull flag, it would probably be okay to take it to the upside. At this moment, I'm still a bit cautious. There's still a good chance of one more push. Strong daily candles. But I would probably need to see that 1 hour candle turning bullish here. Otherwise, I would still be a bit cautious. Let's take a look at something else. Oil. Oil is at support indeed. Talked about that from over last week. There is a bit of divergence between these bottoms. There is a strong rally at this moment. Divergence between the hourly charts is double divergence in the meantime. Let's take a look at the 15. All right, daily pin bar there. I think that there could be a bigger correction, but I'm still overall bearish though. So let me put it in context here. All right, let's take away these pivot points. I don't see anything because of that. All right. So bigger context is all right. About a year we've had this low, and we've been bouncing ever since. But I think that this is still a good chance. This is a pullback for one more push lower. When we look at the weekly, there was at this moment when we had divergence, I thought we would get a three wave up to the long-term moving average. But after price broke through this resistance, it started to push up and fill that double top. So that kind of changed the dynamic because I was expecting the move up, but it did so. It just didn't, in my opinion, reach the full target. But that sometimes happens. It just turned a bit sooner. So I'm skeptical it has the muscle to get all the way back to the original target at this moment. And that has to do partly because of the double top, partly because there's a lot of momentum here. I think that this has clarified or taken away that divergence. Yeah, one of the reasons why I was bullish actually at the time was the head and shoulders indeed. And we broke the neckline. So there, I thought there was a good chance of price making that ABC zigzag. So I was bullish with these reasons in mind. But things changed in my opinion because we got a double top. The price wasn't able to break through the 50 resistance. And made a good momentum down here. So I think there's still now the tables have changed in my opinion, and throughout the bullishness, I think that there's a good chance that price will still continue with this downside momentum and make one more lower low, potentially. All right. So in that case, it needs to break through this support trend line. For that to happen, it needs to break through this support trend line. So that would be the confirmation in my view. And price can then start to retest this bottom. And perhaps break through it, who knows. But I'm not sure about that. It could just retest this bottom and still bounce somewhere in here. Let's see. In that case, I would put a fib from here to here. And I would expect price to push through the 61.8. And then if it still keeps, a bear flag like that, then push lower to the 78.6 fib. Then perhaps to the 88, then perhaps to the bottom, then perhaps the lower low, step by step. Another reason why I think this could push lower is that this definitely looks to me like a 5-wave pattern. So that in itself, perhaps this could be a bigger correction like that. That could be another way of looking at it. All right, so don't want to be blinded by my bias that this could break. Let's see first, but I do expect a break. If it doesn't, at this moment though, I think there is a good chance of an ABC zigzag up to correct these 5 waves. And if it isn't an ABC zigzag, if this is the correction, then there could be a pretty big bounce here. So from that point of view, a hook back here could be interesting. Whether it's an ABC or it's a new trend up, both point up. There could be a head and shoulders here. So at this spot, I think it makes sense to be bullish. Then it depends how far price will move up. If it goes to the, let's say it hits the R2 and then turns, goes back to these fibs, and then bounces to the minus 61.8. All right, so in that case, yeah, the 50 fib, if it is bearish, that's where it will stop. It will do something like this. Turn around and then retest the trend line and then break through it. If, however, price does this and then starts to build a bull flag and breaks, then we, there's a good chance that something else is going on. In that case, I would start to favor this as a correction. So I think there's a bigger chance for bearishness, personally, in the long run, and the price will break through support. But at the moment, I do think that this correction seems pretty likely at this point. All right, so I think that's about it. A lot of fibs here. Let me get rid of all of them again. All right, so sorry for that small pause there. So yeah, that's I think looking at this monthly. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so looking at this monthly candle, for instance, here, I think there's a good chance of a bounce and some bearishness. That's my view. I don't see a lot of bullishness on the oil at the moment, except this bounce. But let's see. Time will tell. All right. Regarding Kiwi, there it is. Kiwi. Let's take a look at it. This is hourly. I think it could make the same bounce, but as the Aussie and basically the euro and pound. But the thing is that New Zealand has been moving up strongly, so the Aussie might do that more than New Zealand. Here you can see that bounce. And we've been talking about the New Zealand for a while now, saying that here I was already saying, watch out for, this is an uptrend, probably a new uptrend, but it's right at resistance. So to make a correction first, remember, to these fibs before making a bigger upside. So it made that correction finally. So for those that were looking for a bounce in here, you got the bounce at the 78, the deeper fib, the 78.6 fib. So it moved away from that area, and we talked about this. Upside, correction, and we got the bounce. So Aussie is winning against New Zealand at the moment. At this point, making a bit of correction. The upside has been a bit not as impulsive probably as I wanted to see it. But looking at these candles, it still remains bullish. In fact, this looks like a bounce here, double bottom. Could be the end of the bull flag here. So I would be a bit more bullish on the Aussie than the Kiwi at this point. We can take a look at the Euro AUD here. Euro AUD looks like a mixed bag to me. A bit wacky with the up, down. We have two bullish candles here, so the Euro looks to be winning against the Aussie. The pound seems to be losing against the Aussie. The Euro pound, by the way, is bouncing too, I think. Yes, you see. Euro pound is bouncing. So at this moment, the Euro seems to be winning against a wider range of baskets, as well as this pound. There's something I was keeping an eye on too, because of the fact that 5 to 6 candles, in this case, didn't break this bottom. I thought it was a relevant factor at this point for a bounce that happened somewhere in here, and you're seeing price move away from that zone. So Euro seems to be winning at this moment, at least. Oh, and it broke. Indeed, broke this this range, not making the bull flag I was hoping for. At this moment, it's continuing with that bullishness, and yeah, if it makes a bit of a dip here, I think it could be good for maybe to, let's see, this is a very big bar, so I'm not sure we'll get it. But if it does make a dip to 107.80, 107.83, that would be nice for a push higher. But with this candle, I'm not sure if it's going to happen. That was basically my plan, is let it break, hook back, but also I wanted the hourly candle to close, so that's something to keep an eye on 30 minutes from now. If it closes something like this, you know, the next hour it might still make that retracement that I was planning for. The euro seems to be moving the most because it seems to be winning against the others at this point. We can check the euro New Zealand quickly. Pretty messy chart to be honest, but most recent candles are bullish. On the daily too, well, except yesterday, but that could be a retracement. It's only one candle. And the Aussie is making a bounce here too. Yeah, that's one I wanted to talk about actually more than the Kiwi. It was because of the AUD New Zealand as well. But here you see 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth candles bullish. This could be a bouncing spot right now. Very, very, very choppy though when you look at this. But I think this is a bigger bouncing spot. And this could be used for support for a rally to the upside. Price stopped here now. The next target would be the 38.2 fib. So basically made a hook back already and made a hook back after the hook back. Not sure if now is necessarily the best moment though, but here too, maybe nothing wrong with just letting this 1 hour candle close like this. If it closes something like this, or even better yet, even above last hour's high, could put a fib on that candle, I think. Look for a smaller retracement to the 50, 38.2 fib, and I think there's a good chance of follow through. All right, so I personally am looking for bounces on this dollar strength. So from my perspective, indeed, Iglis, from my perspective, the dollar, I think, could have a weakness day today. It is counter trend, but I think that's the most likely. The pound is surprisingly falling fast. I'm not sure. There must be probably some. Maybe there was some. I think there was a pound news. Was there? Maybe it's been released. Doesn't seem so. Not sure what's creating this. To me, technically, it looks bullish too. But everything is counter trend, so that's a bit of a risk because these zigzags don't necessarily always play out. So that's always a risk. That's why counter trends are always a bit more difficult. Well, I would forget the bullishness, that's for sure. This push down is way too powerful. I wouldn't be bearish right away either. I would like to see candle push through like this and maybe some bear flag first. This is just choppiness. I would be sitting on the sidelines with the pound at the moment. So I don't think either direction is interesting. I just keep an eye on. I'll keep an eye on. Very simple. I think it has to show some direction and break through this zone really. But if the pound is moving up, down, and the euro is moving up, that means the euro pound is really making a big rally at this moment. All right, let's see how this behaves. You know, this could be a simple ABC correction too. Then again, if this leg starts to show a lot of strength, maybe it's something of a bigger rebound. So let's see. For the moment, though, it's moving up indeed. So euro dollar, I think, has probably the better chance. Aussie second best, or those probably have the most chance against the dollar, I would say, at this moment. Dollar yen is moving lower. I was already saying that I need to see that hourly candle being bullish. Otherwise, I am still a bit skeptical about the chances of price breaking through really this triangle to the upside. All right, Kiwi, it could make the zigzag too. The oddly zone is at a resistance spot, and the upside was not that huge of momentum, so it could follow the Aussie in the same way. Dollar CAD. Absolutely bullish indeed. A lot of bullish candles. Making a retracement right now. A retracement could be deep though, looking at the 4-hour chart. That's a pivot point, previous top. And considering the dollar correction we're seeing, it would be quite logical for price to make a retracement here. But a turnaround at these fibs, probably the deeper ones like the 61.8, seems likely. So for the moment, these are bearish candles, and I think there's some good chance to reach these fibs. If there's any retracement, it will probably follow the dollar. What I expect, some dollar weakness at this moment, but. And the 5-minute chart is accelerating at this point. So I think 5-minute needs to calm down a bit, make a retracement here, go back into this zone, 135 for instance, and turn around. That could be one way of trying to fetch here a counter trend trade, I think, against the CAD as well. Let's see, 2 questions on the Aussie. So I was saying that from my perspective, a bounce is likelier as long as there's a good hourly candle closing like right here, putting the fib on the candle itself, looking for a retracement to the 38 or 50 for continuation up to this 38 at 76.18. I think is a potential zigzag right there. For those more aggressive traders, might have already been looking at it here because there was a consolidation box, a break out of it, and a hook back potential there. Also, if you look at the 4-hour chart, there was failure here to break these lows. So maybe some early birds are already in that trade. There's a question regarding the long-term time frames of the Aussie. Let me show the fibs on the specific time frames. From a long-term perspective, let's take a look. Now, I myself I am still a bit bearish because of this momentum. And I think a lower low is still needed to get the divergence that really the weekly chart, I think let's take a look here. Slight divergence here indeed. Monthly doesn't show it though, that's the thing. Monthly is pretty strong here compared to this move. One lower low I was expecting. Perhaps a move down to the 78.6 fib before I think a bigger bounce, before I expected a bigger bounce. Now, will it happen? Time will tell. This is looking corrective so far. So that matches. I was expecting a bigger zigzag like this. So I thought price could go up to the minus 272 target. Like that, turn around and make that lower low. I'm not sure if it would necessarily go that deep, but make, in any case, one lower low. So far, it has not even failed. It's failed to reach the 81. We talked about it already in the videos for a long time. I was bullish because of the fact that I expected price to get up to that target, but it never broke this. Was always not able to break these resistances. Now it's back at support indeed, at these trendline supports. All right, so there's another reason why this could bounce from a daily perspective. From a 4-hour perspective, we see that this isn't a bounce. This looks pretty choppy too, so there's a good reason for price to make a bounce here. Now, how will this formation play out? Is this an ascending? Is this an ascending wedge? It looks so at the moment. That's why if it breaks, that bullish push could still happen up to 81. There's been a headache with breaking resistance. If this ascending wedge breaks and price breaks through this support, in that case, this is also looking corrective. So don't forget that this could occur too. In that case, it depends how far it falls and strong it falls. First, it will test the 78.6 fib. If it breaks these fibs, then it can make a lower low. I would therefore still expect one lower low, all in all, unless price really starts to move up to these targets and you see bull flags. In that case, I'm bullish. Long term, I mean. Long term, I'm still bearish unless price doesn't show that. In the intermediate term, I am still slightly bullish because this, I think, could be a good zigzag that might still complete. But if it breaks support, then intermediate, I'm also bearish. Once it makes a lower low, then I think the Aussie is ready for a rally. Or if it makes the push up with a lot of momentum and then starts to make a bullish pattern, or if there's a lot of momentum in it right here, doesn't even have to be a big bull flag. I'm not talking about a weekly bull flag, but I'm talking more about like small bull flags on 4-hour charts here after a good push up, then I don't expect that to turn around again. If I look at the dollar, I think the dollar is ready to strengthen significantly, as you probably understood. It's making upside now, but remember the context. I think that this is a retracement for a wave 2 of a bigger downtrend, start of a bigger downtrend, which means the dollar could strengthen significantly. It will do that across the board, even against the Aussie, maybe a bit less, probably less, looking at these two pictures, than the euro. But I therefore still bearish on the Aussie dollar, also because of the bigger dollar picture. The upside on the euro dollar is happening, as we're talking about, and maybe there could be a trade, intraday trade for me available if this formation works out and get the hook back here and the close. But all in all, this push up I think is still within a correction for more downside. So that also, partly connects with the Aussie. All right, but the Aussie downside might be weaker than I think at the moment. It looks indeed so that I would expect more bearishness on the euro dollar personally than the AUD USD. We could take a look at the euro AUD. This is the monthly picture. And however you look at it, it's breaking through these bottoms. And it's a descending wedge. So I think that kind of confirms that view. And it can go to these targets here. All right, so yikes. All right, I somehow deleted my Aussie, but I was looking for my drawing tool, hit the wrong button there. Alrighty. Yeah, so one thing I wanted to still say was, no, that's it. I think otherwise I'm repeating myself. No. So yeah, basically, price, the Aussie might retest this bottom, make a smaller or low. I'm not sure, but time will tell on that. All right, so good. We talked about a lot of things. I think just the yen, some yen crosses, maybe we can still take a look at. Dogan is saying, waiting for a huge bounce from the euro dollar. Trump uncertainty is the only thing markets are going to buy. Dogan is expecting 113. That would be interesting. We could take a look at that. I myself was bullish on the euro dollar. It just reverted a bit, went into a bearish mode a bit quicker than I probably expected. Looking at the price action so far, I think that downside to me looks pretty impressive. From my perspective, I don't see it at 113. I think it will not break this top personally. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to new information. If there is a very strong wave 3 rally that really challenges 112.50 and then goes sideways, then something else is definitely going on. I mean, from my perspective, price action, this candlestick pattern, this bearish candle, this bearish weekly candle is too strong of a bearish signal in my view to be bullish at this point. From just looking at price action. But the market is, of course, just who knows? There could be. I think there's a good chance that this is a new downtrend at this moment. But you never know. There could be a lot of uncertainty because of the change of power, because of the political developments in the U.S. You never know. But looking at price action at this point, that's my point. That's my my view. Let's see. Pound breaking trend lines. And one question on the Aussie. There's definitely significance of, I think, definitely significance of Aussie bouncing here at this support trend line. Definitely. That was one of the reasons why I think there's a bouncing spot at the moment on the Aussie, indeed. Definitely. Good confidence there. MJ, can you hear me at this moment? Is the sound back for you? I think it's only for you at this moment. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, Doga, well, opposite views, only good, kind of challenge each other, so nothing wrong with that. But time will tell. I mean, for me, I'm definitely open to new information, regarding the upside. But at this moment, bearish, unless I see opposite evidence there. From a price action kind of candlestick point of view, pound dollar is, oh yeah, look at that, wow. Break right there. Interesting. I didn't expect that. Personally, I thought the dollar was weak, but pound seems even weaker apparently. And that's something we luckily looked beforehand at the euro pound and said, okay, euro pound is bouncing. So from the euro and the pound, the euro looks better. But even on the pound, I was expecting a bounce, to be honest. We did get a bit of bounce here, where we were looking at it, just not that much though, 15 pips, and eventually not able to break this resistance, but able to break the support apparently. So pound pretty weak. And my cap is bearish at the moment with that break. But let's see. I mean, I wouldn't like to see it push a lot further. Otherwise, there's not much space left potentially. Would be nice to see a bear flag here and the push down to the S1, push down to 124, 123.70. But this break is not everything either. It is a good break. Anyone who took that, great. You're in a few pips. I personally would probably be, if I took a break like that, I would be keeping an eye on this 1 minute chart probably. And with this hook back, I might even take it off because it might make a bear flag. There's a pound news as well, indeed. Leon is saying, oh, he's saying that there's pound news. There's a leaked memo that there's a leaked memo that is talking about no plans for Brexit. That there are no plans, or that they don't want to have a Brexit. I'm not sure. I think Leon is saying that there are no plans at the moment for Brexit. That's strange because they already had a couple of months time to discuss it. So you would think that would give that would be plenty of time to have something on paper by now. That's a bit weird. So I'm not surprised that news like this is behind it, because for me, I was looking at the Forex Factory. Thank you, Leon, for that info. This candle looked quite sudden to me, so maybe it was news. In any case, personally, I would want to see a bear flag here. All right, let me wrap this up a bit here. The first question here, the fib you're using. The fib is standard part of MetaTrader 4 indeed. But what I did, though, is add some fibs. So if you go to the fib, you put the fib on the chart, you right click, you go to Fibo properties, and then you go to Fibo levels, and then you need to, or what I did was I added some extra levels. What I did was add 78.6. So what I did is write down 0.786. Then in the description, I write 78.6, a space, and behind all of them, I have a percent sign and a dollar sign. That adds the value of the currency pair behind the fib. What I also did was add some minus levels for targets, minus 272, minus 0.272, minus 0.618. So this is something I added manually. So you can use the same fib that MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition has, or if you're not using Supreme Edition, also of course the usual MT4, and then I add those levels. It's different than a fib expansion because fib expansion, you draw 3 points. You draw start, finish, and retracement point. Here I just draw it from start to finish. I have retracements here. Retracements here. And I have targets up in here, above it. Retracements here, targets above. Does anyone hear me at this point? I don't think there was no sound indeed. Sorry about that. I think that the software somehow didn't recognize the microphone for a second. I think you should hear me now again. So hopefully, all right. So let's see. So yeah, basically regarding the fibs, here I have the retracements. So I draw it from top to bottom, from bottom to top in the upside, which means I have retracements here and targets up above. Retracements, R of retracements, T of targets. All right, so that is basically the fib part. Regarding the kind of a recap for today, what do I think is the most interesting? I think from my perspective, once again, I'm interested in seeing a bounce here in gold. So I'm going to be monitoring that, trying to catch a bounce. This is the fourth candle on the 4-hour chart, or if on the hourly chart there is head and shoulders. Those things are interesting to me. So that's one of the most interesting ones, I think, from my perspective. Others, the euro dollar is interesting. It's a reversal trade. It pretty good close near the high, a close above the Keltner. So if there's a retracement here, I would be interested in trying to continue with the euro dollar. This might be a lengthy correction, though. I would like to see this go back to the zero line. I think that this structure could play out quite long, but at the end of the day, I do think that there should be that bounce and continuation. Unless I see really rapid momentum here, I would not want to see price break through this level. Otherwise, let me check that level, but well, my real validation point is this, but I think that there's a good chance price should bounce above this level, to be honest. All right, so other than that, the Aussie was my other option here. Hourly candle, not a great close, but it is still bullish. So I think that this could be a hook back. If 5 to 6 candles don't break, the bottom here above the pivot point, so just respecting the R1. So if there's a move up and a hook back, for instance, like this, it could be a bounce. I personally looking for upside on the Aussie too. I think that price should not break through the pivot point, personally. And other than that, euro pound, I am bullish, but that trade is maybe behind me at this point. Maybe if it makes a hook back here, it's already at the R3. Yeah, it really made a substantial upside here. So I'm not sure about euro pound today necessarily. It was something I saw this morning, but now it seems to be a bit late. But that was another one on my list. Let me take a look at the higher time frames quickly. I would expect some kind of retracement, and these oscillators go back to the zero line. I would need to see how this retracement happens. I still think that the bigger upside is possible on the euro pound as these fibs are still very much targets, but I'll have to see how this retraces and then look for a bounce. I do think that is something that is on my watch list, but I don't think anytime soon though. All right, folks. I guess that's about it. From the pairs we looked at, there could be some major crosses here that maybe we didn't look at, but running out of time now. So otherwise, it's DAX strong rallies, just like the S&P 500. Some strong reactions here, and seems to be a flag. So it looks like still one more push up from that point of view. Dollar yen closed bearish, Craig says, so I would then not be looking for that last push up. If it's still this hour, for instance, is bullish, then I would still think that one more push up on the dollar yen is possible. The yen might weaken. The euro dollar is kind of retracing now, so the dollar is strengthening a bit. When the dollar strengthens just a bit against the euro, this could be already enough to push the dollar yen up to the upside. So I think all in all, it's still a bull flag. It's just that now we don't have the signal. Indeed, last hour was bearish. But if this hour is bullish, and on the 5-minute chart, for instance, I would see a hook back to test the bottom but fail, it could also still be something to think about, I think, personally, together with the Aussie, the Euro Pound, the Euro Dollar, and gold. Those are, I guess, the ones I'll keep an eye on the most at this point. Alrighty, folks, that was a lengthy webinar. Thanks for hanging around and for all your comments and ideas and chats. And regarding new webinars, very quickly, we have tomorrow we got strategy webinar, same time, same place. Then it takes a look at Heikinashi with Ichimoku. Thursday we don't have a webinar, by the way, but we have it next week Thursday again. Learning to spot basically decision zones, identify decision zones in the market structure. So hope to see you then, and wish you above all great trading, folks. Cheers.